Brighton and Hove will need more homes, more employment space and improved infrastructure over the next 10 years. City Plan Part 2 forms part of the development plan for the city, which supports achieving those goals and becoming carbon neutral by 2030. Adopted in 2016, City Plan Part 1 sets out the strategic framework for Brighton and Hove to 2030. It includes targets for new housing and employment and a framework for where new strategic development should go. The City Plan Part 2 provides additional policies for managing new development and further site allocations to help deliver much needed new homes and high quality development. The plan identifies more than 50 sites in the city for housing development and brings in a series of policies to address the city's housing needs, to help tackle the climate and biodiversity emergencies, to support our local economy and high streets, to improve the quality of new development, and to protect our historic buildings and gardens.
Our city will need more homes, more employment spaces and better infrastructure over the next 10 years. But we also have to address the climate change and biodiversity emergencies facing us. Development, whether that's changes to our own homes and properties or major new housing and commercial property schemes, will need to be future-proofed to ensure they are resilient to climate change and that they tackle the causes. City Plan Part 2 brings in policies to support our goal to be carbon neutral by 2030 and to protect and enhance our green infrastructure. The plan has policies to ensure that development is more energy efficient and reduces carbon emissions as far as possible. City Plan Part 2's policies direct new development to areas of high accessibility. It supports the move to sustainable, low-impact and active travel to improve air quality. The plan also supports increasing the use of low-emission vehicles in the city through the provision of the infrastructure they need, such as electric vehicle charging points. Under the plan, financial contributions required from developers will be used to improve the city's network of high-quality, safe cycle routes. It also includes policies to encourage better facilities for cyclists. For example, communal cycle maintenance facilities, workplace showers, lockers and changing facilities. City Plan Part 2 policies will tackle the risk of flooding and safeguard water quality through sustainable drainage systems in new developments. City Plan Part 2 will also ensure that the retention or planting of trees and opportunities for pollinators and other wildlife are considered early in the design process. The plan requires development to preserve and enhance the city's green infrastructure. Until now, developers have been required to take action to ensure their plans do not result in a loss of biodiversity. City Plan Part 2 plans go further than this. Major developments will have to demonstrate that they can achieve a measurable net gain in biodiversity, to leave biodiversity in a better state than it was before any development took place. And we are introducing this well ahead of the government's intention to make this mandatory next year.
City Plan Part 1 sets out a target of 13,200 new homes by 2030. The plan sets out ambitious targets for affordable housing in the city, and the crux of the housing crisis in Brighton and Hove is affordability. We have house prices incredibly high, we have rents incredibly high, and the problem is that many people living in the city simply can't afford that. So it's absolutely crucial that we strain every sinew in order to use the planning and use every opportunity that we have to increase the supply of affordable and primarily affordable rented housing. City Plan Part 2 identifies more than 50 sites in the city for housing development. These include 7 larger brownfield sites such as the Brighton General Hospital site. Although the vast majority of sites are brownfield sites, In order to achieve the target, 15 of the allocated sites are on the urban fringe and the edge of the city. The proposed housing sites on the urban fringe represent only 7% of the urban fringe, and the strength of City Plan Part 2 is that by adopting the plan, the council will protect the other 93% of the urban fringe, which is vitally important for the countryside, protection for biodiversity and nature. The plan supports the delivery of new options for vulnerable and the elderly, provision for students and those wishing to build their own home. It raises the quality of new housing, requiring minimum internal space standards. The plan ensures that build to rent includes genuinely affordable housing. It also includes policies to ensure that new purpose-built student housing is of a good standard, affordable and available to a broad range of students. City Plan Part 2 also sets out better management of houses of multiple occupation, known as HMOs. I'm pleased to say that the City Plan Part 1 and the restrictions on HMOs have had a very noticeable impact, and this will be strengthened and reinforced in City Plan Part 2.
City Plan Part 2 supports the Council's priority for a city working for all by establishing planning and development policies that support local businesses and our high streets. The City Plan Part 2 supports the circular economy concept by ensuring developments are designed to be adaptable, flexible and can be reused. For example, by requiring the use of high-quality building materials, the City Plan Part 2 ensures that these can be reused when the building reaches the end of its lifespan. City Plan Part 2 also ensures that industrial buildings are built to be adaptable in terms of unit sizes within the building. The City Plan Part 2 helps local businesses to grow. We have limited land available in the city and many demands on it. It is important that we ensure employment opportunities are created and residents can get the goods and services they need by allocating some sites for commercial use. The City Plan Part 2 also identifies potential areas for new hotels and protects existing conference facilities. This is very important because tourism accounts for 14% of all employment in our city, which equals 21,000 jobs. The City Plan Part 2 supports the successful regeneration of Madeira Terraces and Madeira Drive to create a seafront for all. The City Plan Part 2 boosts the resilience of our high streets and local parades. It helps prevent local shopping parades from disappearing by restricting the change of use of shops in important local parades. And we know how important local community facilities and pubs are for our communities. They serve as places where residents meet friends and family, can get help or even learn new skills, and they improve our well-being and quality of life. The City Plan Part 2 helps protect local community facilities and pubs from being converted to other use or demolished. The City Plan Part 2 requires, for example, strong evidence that a pub is no longer viable before it can be converted. And if a much loved and needed community facility would be lost as a result of a new development, the City Plan Part 2 ensures that a replacement is being built.
City Plan Part 2 touches on all of our lives because it sets out how the quality of new developments in the city will be managed. Its policies address major new development schemes, but also addresses the changes that we want to make to our own homes and properties, and how we protect our unique historic buildings and heritage. We need to meet our growing needs for good housing and jobs, providing schools, shops, leisure facilities and green spaces within the boundaries of our busy city. City Plan Part 2 ensures the effective and efficient use of the development sites that we have in the city. The plan promotes a design process that will help to create sustainable, attractive and successful places to live and work. This includes the introduction of minimum space standards
and higher accessibility standards in new housing development. City Plan Part 2 enables owners to extend their properties whilst protecting the amenity or attractiveness of the local environment for their neighbours. It provides more detailed policies to protect and enhance the city's unique historic buildings and gardens. For example, the plan includes supportive policies to ensure that the planned restoration and improvement of the Royal Pavilion estate is carefully managed. City Plan Part 2 also contains policies that ensure new development in historic and conservation settings is sympathetic.
Having been adopted at a full council meeting in October 2022, City Plan Part 2 has now come into force. You can view a full copy of the plan, including the new policies it introduces and details of each of the sites allocated for development, on our website.